It's now 6 weeks later. Unfortunately, I'm not in Thailand, and Ebby's done another video just to show everybody and myself the plant growth during the last 6 weeks. And you can see, obviously, through the netting that the cucumbers are up to the roof. Tomatoes are probably about 4 to 5 feet tall, and everything, from what I've seen, has grown absolutely fantastic. And it obviously proves to me, and also to everybody else out there, that a complete novice can achieve this in 6 weeks. Ebby's still got a great deal of horticultural learning to learn over the years, but if you have a look to see almost 800 plants of all different varieties grown in conditions that are extremely arid and extremely humid and extremely hot and cool, then he's done very well indeed. Well, these were the tomatoes that we put in that you saw 6 weeks ago on the 26th of October when I was in Thailand, and they were probably 4 to 6 inches tall. I think these tomatoes on the left are an English variety. A little bit too much foliage, but in horticultural time Ebby will learn to take side shoots out and train the plant early, but everything's growing fine, it's healthy, fruit's forming. This video is probably taking it, I would say, 6 o'clock in the morning. Ebby's an early riser, so to speak, and he's probably taking the video early in the morning. Probably tell by the way the leaves are sort of drooping a bit from the coolness at night and the high humidity. At night it can reach up to, well, the maximum I've seen is 100% humidity at night, and the temperature is probably 24, 25, and then during the day you can experience temperatures of up to 40, 45 degrees and humidity dropping down to maybe 22, 25%. These are the cucumbers. If you remember, on the 26th of October they were tiny. Lots of flowers, lots of little tiny Thai cucumbers in there. See all the shade cloth in the roof, we've had to put that in. And in places it has made a big difference. I'll tell you about that when we next get to the chili plants in question. You see the little cucumbers forming there. Loads of flowers, male and female. For the last, well, since the 26th of October, since we set the nursery up, we've been using the evolution feed it's originally from Holland. It's supplied by a company called Culture in the UK. There was a powdered feed, and we needed to get a feed into the greenhouse that we knew that would give us a good start, or a good sort of foothold in what we were trying to prove. But obviously importing powdered feed from Holland, then into the UK, then back to Thailand, is a costly exercise. So we've now found a Thai gentleman who seems very knowledgeable in making powdered feeds for companies like ourselves, and we're now trialling his feeds, and then we'll buy the feeds locally. But the water's amazingly clean here. We had the water tested, and it's very clean indeed. The EC is 0, and the pH comes out about 4.5. We think the reason for the cleanliness of the water and the pH is because Ebby's very closely situated to a glass manufacturer as well, so they use a lot of carbon, and that obviously cleans the water. You can see the tomatoes, it's got loads of different varieties. It is a bit of a jungle in there, but it's all a learning experience. And for someone who has never grown anything horticulturally, especially on a scale of this magnitude, he's done extremely well indeed. You can see the jasmine plants in the one-pot systems there. We planted those obviously 6 weeks ago. You can see Yai working very hard. I noticed in photos that Ebby had previously sent over the last 6 weeks that the Thai jasmine was sort of stretching, maybe because of the heat, maybe because it normally grows outside. So what I've asked Yai to do is to trim back the shoots that are shooting out to try and keep the plant compact and bushy and create more flower sites there. And these are all the other Thai tomatoes in the background. Quite amazing. When we first started in October, we set the EC level to about 12, 13 and the pH of 4.5. Now Ebby's increased the EC and the tomato and cucumber run to approximately 2.2 or 22. And you can see, now if you compare the growth 6 weeks earlier on the previous video, it's quite stunning. Got a huge variety of plants: tomatoes, cucumbers, Thai jasmine, chilies, other types of chilies, ferns, palms. Just trying it out really and seeing what's the most cost effective and how Ebby and his family can make some money. At the moment it seems to be Thai jasmine. Obviously don't consume a great deal of water. The flowers are used for decorations. Just previously saw we're using a rat deterrent because obviously there's lots of rats and various other creatures that will devour plants, and it's a sonic rat deterrent, and we just got it on all the time. Keeps the pests away. Ebby's just showing the air outlet for the air dome. We've got several air domes linked up in various plants just to see if there's an increasing growth and how fast they grow. That's just a small trial on the side of really the whole thing. All on the left hand side, got some various Thai herbs, but these are all chilies. This is the plant I was talking about earlier. This plant hasn't been shaded by the shade cloth, it was on the very end of the run. It's a Thai sweet chili, and they all are running down there. But that one has grown probably twice the size of these plants. You see in these plants here, the smaller ones, they're at the very hot Thai chilies, like firecracker Thai chilies or Thai fingers. They're very, very hot chilies, and they were started probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we're probably going to take some of the plants out and swap things around and just make things more cost effective for Ebby over time. But we'll still be doing trials with the traditional commercial crops such as tomatoes and cucumbers. And if people want to grow them, then they're more than welcome to grow them. We can prove that it can actually be grown commercially in Thailand. When I spent quite a lot of time speaking to Ebby from the UK via Skype, very handy piece of equipment. It's for free, and we look at photos, we have a chat, I recommend things to do or not do, and it all seems to work quite well. So for the last sort of 6 weeks, Ebby's done really well. You can see the one-pot systems here. We put some chilies in there, and the chilies in the one-pot system compared to the chilies on the left, you can see them in the green pots. They're the same age, but for some reason the chilies in the one-pot systems just haven't taken, so we're going to probably change those over. And then more tomatoes and cucumbers. These tomatoes and cucumbers, they're growing in the one-pot systems, just to see if there's any difference. There was some difference, particularly with the cucumbers. I think the cucumbers in the one-pot system started producing fruit much earlier, and I think they're a little bit more vigorous, but the cucumbers in the two-pot pots were much more lush. So it's a tricky thing to try and resolve or put your finger on the reason why while you're sort of 8,000 miles away. But as I said, Ebby's done a fantastic job in what he's created and what he's grown so far. But it works very well with myself and him chatting on Skype almost every day, and me guiding him and him learning as we go along. We've got the aqua boxes here. We made a bit of a mistake with the aqua boxes. We used probably 30% cocoa and 60%, 70% local Thai compost, which consists of pig manure and chicken manure. I think the problem we have here is that the soil is just too rich, and the plants are just not, or just have got too much of what they need. So we're going to swap that in time, and then just probably put cocoa in there and do a better trial with the aqua boxes. Now, if you remember the trials that we were doing when we first left, we set up, I think, 7 one-pot systems, growing 100,000 tomatoes from Sutton Seeds in the UK, and we were trialling from left to right different types of feed. So red crab on the left, which is completely atrocious, the easy to grow feed, which wasn't very good either, the new rice, which is the Thai, and then phosphagen from the UK, which wasn't too bad. Everything was set at the same EC, same pH, all grown in cocoa. And we've got some little side trials where we're growing cucumbers just in the tray. Actually, it's a little trial we're trialing. We're going to look at this and probably create something that might benefit the horticultural industry. We'll just keep an eye on this space, I should say. Then we've just got the traditional aqua valve and aqua valve cover in a tray. Then we've got Miracle Grow, which is, is okay. The plants don't grow at all like they do in the UK. And then we've got a Thai Banzai A and B, which is just great. I mean, it's 4, 5, 6, 7 times bigger than all the other plants. Exactly the same situation, exactly the same levels, EC and pH. Then we've got the Evolution Food, which is what we're using on the whole crop inside the greenhouse. And then we've got a new rice mixed with Nitrozyme and Super Thrive, which hasn't done too bad compared to the new rice further down the aisle. So we were just really trialing various feeds under different situations, and just to see which one works and which one doesn't. All the tomatoes are starting to fruit now. Within probably another 6 weeks' time, they'll be fully laden with fruit. You'll be able to see the colour, and they're all just starting to set now. But he's done very well. There's a lot of leaf on there. Maybe you get away with it, maybe you can't. Maybe you need the leaf on during the day because the humidity's so low, and maybe you need a certain amount of leaf on at night because the humidity's so high. It's a fine line because we've got such huge extremities, and because we're not a commercial nursery to the level of, say, Valley Grown Nurseries. A friend of mine who's the managing director there, he produces peppers for Waitrose and Sainsbury's, where they have everything environmentally controlled, the temperature and humidity perfect every day, 365 days a year. We have to deal with what we've got, really. We can exhaust the heat as best we can, but we have to deal with with the conditions that we're faced with. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed. There's some very amazing extremities, and the greenhouse has turned out well. The fans don't really need to be on. We just use the side ventilation. The fans in the roof, they've been turned upwards to move the air around so that we're not blowing on the plants, because we don't want to scorch them because of the intense heat. But yeah, Thai jasmine's growing great. It's been flowering. At the moment, that seems to be the most profitable crop in Thailand because it uses the least water. It also uses the least feed and gives you the biggest return in profit for the flowers. You can see the fan in the roof turn the other way now. Got a few yellow sticky traps up there to catch any insects. Keep an eye if anything's flying around. Chilies, well, the sweet chilies. Yeah, it's all grown really, really well. I'm very impressed. We're changing things. Probably next time you see a video in January, you'll probably see different plants growing, different trials being trialled, and the plant's 6 weeks older. So look out for the next video, because I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, actually. Just a little demonstration area before we walk in to show customers, so Abby can show customers what the products are. Double doors to keep the insects out. We take our shoes off. before we walk in there, keep it all nice and clean. There's Autopot in Thai. You can contact Ebby via the website in the resellers distributors section. And then at the back we've got the tanks that supply each run. It's got a 700 litre and 4 500 litres. At the moment the tomatoes, 500 litres, that run of tomatoes is getting through 500 litres in 3 days. So he's having to fill that up 3 days, whereas the Thai jasmine probably 3 weeks. So you can imagine the cost saving on liquid feed, or sorry, on powdered feed. 16mm straight out of the tank and then into a 16mm filter. There's the on-off switch. And all the tanks are underneath some screen cloth now to keep the heat out during the day, so that the tanks are kept out of the sunlight really, so that the water doesn't get too hot, and also don't get the light into the tank because they're not completely light tight. They're good enough, but they're not perfect. So as you can see, 6 weeks after the initial video on the 26th of October, pretty much 6 weeks, we've got amazing plant growth. I'm looking forward to the next video, as I said. But all in all, Ebby's done a fantastic job. I'm really quite proud of what he's done. I don't think he's done it all, and I think Nong and Yai and obviously Kevin have all helped out, but it's all looking very, very nice indeed.